Welcome back to the channel, and today we are about to uncover one of the most unbelievable stories in the world of rare coins, a simple Washington quarter dated 1966, a coin that most people would toss into a vending machine or drop in a parking meter turned out to be worth an astonishing $1.7 million. That's right, a 25-cent piece worth more than a luxury mansion. Rarest coins. So, how did a regular-looking coin become one of the most talked-about treasures in the numismatic world? Let's break down the fascinating history of the 1966 quarter, what makes it valuable, and what you should be looking for in your own spare change. Let's start with the background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Since then, it has become one of the most widely circulated coins in American history. The design remained mostly unchanged for decades, featuring Washington's portrait on the front and an eagle on the back. Now, the year 1966 was a very unique time in American coin production. Just 1 year earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint made a major change to our coinage. Prior to that, dimes, quarters, and half dollars were made of 90% silver, but due to rising silver prices and a coin shortage, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965, which removed silver from the quarter entirely. So, the 1966 Washington quarter was one of the first non-silver quarters ever produced. Instead of silver, it was made of a copper-nickel clad composition, and it was produced in large quantities. More than 821 million of them were minted. And here's where it gets interesting. Because these coins were so common, and because they were no longer silver, most people didn't think twice about them. They were just everyday change, but hidden among those hundreds of millions of coins were a few that were anything but ordinary. Now, here's where the mystery deepens. In 1966, the United States Mint did not use mint marks on coins. This was part of a temporary change meant to discourage coin hoarding during the transition away from silver. So, unlike most years where coins from Denver or San Francisco have a D or an S under the date, the 1966 quarter has no mint mark at all. That alone adds a bit of intrigue, but the real value lies in the extremely rare errors and high-grade examples that manage to survive untouched for decades. Now, let's talk about the million-dollar coin. One particular 1966 Washington quarter made headlines when it was sold in a private auction for $1.7 million. It shocked both collectors and casual observers because this was not a gold coin or a coin from the 1700s. It was a 25-cent piece from the mid-60s. So what made it so special? First, it was in absolutely flawless condition. It was graded by a top professional grading service as Mint State 68, which is extremely rare for a clad coin from that era. Most coins from the 60s, especially quarters, were heavily circulated, scratched, worn, and tossed around. But this coin looked like it had just come off the press, with sharp details, full luster, and no wear marks whatsoever. Second, it had a rare and dramatic mint error. This coin was struck on a planchet intended for a silver coin, likely from a leftover batch, before the Coinage Act fully took effect. This means that the coin had the wrong metal composition, making it a hybrid of old and new. It had a silvery shine and a different weight than the standard 1966 quarter. Experts believe this kind of error could only have happened during a short and chaotic transition period in the mint's production history. And finally, this coin's value was driven even higher because it was a one-of-a-kind specimen with both historical significance and physical perfection. It became the ultimate collector's trophy piece, and its price soared in a bidding war among elite coin collectors. But even if you don't have that exact coin, you could still be sitting on a hidden gem. Any 1966 quarters are worth far more than face value, especially if they fall into one of the following categories. First, if you have a high-grade uncirculated coin that looks brand new with no signs of wear, it could be worth anywhere from $20 to over $1,000, depending on its condition and grading. Second, if your coin has a mint error like an off-center strike, double die, or it was struck on the wrong planchet, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. These kinds of errors are rare, but they do exist, and collectors are always on the lookout for them. Third, if you happen to find a 1966 quarter with unusual weight or color, it might have been struck on a silver planchet by mistake. That's the jackpot scenario, and it's worth getting it professionally examined immediately. So, here's what to look for. Check the coin's luster. A shiny, almost mirror-like surface usually means it was well preserved. Use a magnifying glass to look at the details. See if anything looks doubled or off-center. Feel the edges. And check the coin's weight. A normal clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. If yours weighs more than that, it might be a rare silver planchet error. Compare the sound of your coin with another clad quarter. Silver coins have a distinct ring to them that sounds different than clad coins, and most importantly, if you think you have something special, do not clean the coin and do not try to alter it in any way. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They will give you an official grade and certificate, which is crucial for determining its value. Now, here's a quick breakdown of current values for 1966 quarters. Regular circulated 1966 quarters are generally worth 25 cents. Uncirculated quarters in mint state 60 to 64 are worth between $5 and $20. High-grade examples in mint state 65 to 67 can fetch $50 to $200 or more. Mint state 68 examples are incredibly rare and have sold for thousands. And of course, the one known coin with a combination of MS68 grade and a mint error reached the mind-blowing price of $1.7 million. This is why coin collecting continues to be one of the most exciting and rewarding hobbies out there. You never know what treasure might be hiding in your pocket. Change the story of the 1966 Washington quarter proves that even coins from relatively modern times can hold massive value under the right circumstances. Whether it's a rare minting error, a once-in-a-lifetime condition, or a historical oddity, the possibilities are endless. So the next time you're handed a quarter, take a closer look. You might be holding a piece of American history that's worth more than you ever imagined. If you found this video interesting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories about rare and valuable coins. Leave a comment below if you have a 1966 quarter and want help identifying its value, or if you've ever found a rare coin in your own change. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy coin hunting, and never underestimate the power of pocket change. Let me know if you'd like a voiceover version or video editing tips to go with this script. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going deep into the story of a coin that changed American currency history forever, the 1965 Washington quarter. This is one of the most common coins in circulation. But what if I told you that a single rare version of the 1965 quarter sold for an unbelievable $1.8 million? Rarest coins, that's right, a coin you might have in your pocket or hidden in an old drawer, could be worth a fortune today. We'll explore why this particular year is so significant, what makes the 1965 quarter so unique, and what to look for if you think you might have one of these ultra-rare treasures. So let's start with the historical background. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. It featured his portrait on the front and an eagle on the back, and quickly became one of the most widely circulated coins in the country. For decades, these quarters were made with 90% silver, but by the early 1960s, something major was happening. Silver prices were rising fast, and the demand for coinage was putting pressure on the U.S. Mint. People began hoarding silver coins, knowing their melt value might soon exceed their face value. In 1964, Congress decided it was time to change things, and the Coinage Act of 1965 officially removed all silver from quarters and dimes, moving them to a new copper-nickel clad composition. And that brings us to the 1965 Washington quarter. This was the very first year quarters were produced without any silver. The new clad coins were made with an outer layer of copper and nickel and a solid copper core. They looked almost identical to the silver quarters, but weighed slightly less and lacked the precious metal content. Now, here's the twist. While millions of clad 1965 quarters were produced, one of the most valuable coins in American numismatic history emerged when a small number of quarters were mistakenly struck on silver planchets left over from the 1964 production run. That's right, even though the mint was supposed to have completely switched to clad coinage, some 1965 quarters were accidentally struck using 90% silver blanks. These coins are incredibly rare and valuable, and one of them sold for a jaw-dropping $1.8 million in a private auction. So, how did this happen? It's believed that during the transition from silver to clad coinage in mid-1965, the mint still had some silver planchets left in the machinery. Instead of being scrapped or discarded, a few of those blanks were accidentally fed into the presses and struck with 1965 quarter dies. Because the design was nearly identical to the previous years, there was nothing visually different about the coin to the average person. These error coins entered circulation and were mixed in with millions of new copper-nickel quarters. For decades, they went unnoticed until sharp-eyed collectors started to weigh and test them, and that's exactly what happened with the coin that eventually sold for $1.8 million. A collector who had been searching rolls of quarters for years discovered a 1965 quarter that looked different. It had the shine and feel of a silver coin, but it was dated 1965, knowing that the U.S. Mint had stopped using silver that year. He decided to investigate further. He had the coin tested by a professional grading service, and the results confirmed what he suspected. The coin was struck on a 90% silver planchet mint for a 1964 quarter, and to make things even more incredible, it was in nearly perfect condition, graded as Mint State 67. It had full details, no visible wear, and original mint luster. This made it not just a rare error, but a museum-quality piece, and when it finally hit the private auction market, it fetched a record-breaking price of $1.8 million. So what does this mean for you? It means there could still be a few of these rare silver 1965 quarters out there hiding in plain sight, maybe in a jar of coins in your house, a forgotten box in an attic, or even in a roll of quarters from the bank. Here's how to check. First, you'll want to weigh the coin. A standard 1965 clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. But if it was mistakenly struck on a silver planchet, it will weigh closer to 6.25 grams. The difference is small, but noticeable with a digital scale. Second, look at the edge. A clad quarter has a visible copper stripe along the edge due to the copper core. A silver quarter has a solid silver-colored edge with no copper showing. If your 1965 quarter has no copper stripe and looks like pure silver from edge to edge, that's a very good sign. Third, listen to the sound. A silver coin makes a distinct high-pitched ringing tone when dropped gently on a hard surface compared to the duller clink of a clad coin. And finally, if your coin seems to match all these traits, do not clean it and don't try to test it with harsh chemicals. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can confirm the composition, grade the condition, and give it the authentication you'll need. If you want to sell it, even if you don't find the $1 million coin, there are still valuable 1965 quarters out there. For example, a high-grade clad 1965 quarter in Mint State 66 or 67 can be worth $50 to several $100s. Some double die and off-center errors from that year have sold for hundreds or even thousands. So don't underestimate this coin. Just because it's common doesn't mean it's worthless. The 1965 Washington quarter marks a major turning point in U.S. coinage history. It was the beginning of the end for silver circulating coins, and it became one of the most collected issues in modern numismatics. And the story of the one that sold for $1.8 million shows us all that even the most ordinary-looking coin can turn out to be an extraordinary find. So next time you're going through spare change, don't just look at the year, look at the weight, the edge, the condition, and keep an open mind. You might be holding something far more valuable than 25 cents. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories about rare coins and hidden treasures, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment below if you've ever come across a 1965 quarter or any unusual coin. We love hearing your stories, and you never know, your find could be the next big one. Thanks for watching. And until next time, happy hunting, and always keep your eyes on the coins. You never know when you'll strike gold with silver. Let me know if you'd like this adapted for a YouTube short or split into scenes for video production. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're diving into one of the most surprising stories in the world of coins and collectibles. A 25-cent piece that's worth over $1 million. Yes, we are talking about the 1996 D. Washington quarter. It might be sitting in your pocket or your coin jar right now, and it could be worth more than your car or even your house. So make sure to watch this video all the way through, because we're going to uncover the history behind this coin, what makes it valuable, and how one version of this everyday quarter sold for an unbelievable $1.3 million. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter has been part of American life since 1932. It was created to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. For decades, it featured the familiar portrait of Washington on the front and an eagle on the back. By 1996, this design had become iconic and was one of the most recognized coins in circulation. The 1996 D. Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, which is what the small letter D under the date represents. That year, the Denver Mint produced more than 900 million quarters, so naturally, you might wonder, how could any of them possibly be rare or valuable? It sounds impossible, But that's what makes this story so interesting. Out of those hundreds of millions of coins, a small number had defects, rare characteristics, or conditions that made them stand out from the rest. And one in particular became legendary. Let's talk about how that happened. A collector from Colorado was sorting through rolls of coins in the early 2000s. He came across a 1996 D quarter that looked slightly different. The color was off, the edges didn't feel quite right, and the detail was unusually sharp. Instead of spending it or tossing it into his collection, he decided to have it evaluated by a grading service. The coin was sent to the professional coin grading service known as PCGS. They're one of the most respected grading companies in the world. The results shocked everyone. The quarter came back as a mint state 68, which is an incredibly high grade for a coin that was meant for circulation. On top of that, it was confirmed to have a rare mint error. The coin had been struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, giving it an unusual composition and slightly lighter weight. That combination of rarity, near perfect condition, and a fascinating backstory sent its value through the roof. In a private collector auction, the coin was sold for a jaw-dropping $1.3 million. That's right. A 25-cent coin that someone could have used for a vending machine snack was now worth more than most luxury cars. But that's not the only 1996 D quarter that's worth money. Many coins from that year can still be valuable today, especially if they are in high grade or have minting errors. Some of the most common valuable variations include double die obverse, where the lettering or Washington's image appears doubled off center strikes, where the image is noticeably misaligned, clip planchets, where part of the coin is missing due to a mistake in the cutting process, and then there are coins that were struck on the wrong metal. Some quarters from this year were mistakenly minted on planchets meant for foreign coins, or even older U.S. coin blanks. Now, you might be wondering how to tell if you have a valuable 1996 D quarter. Here's what to look for. First, examine the coin closely under good lighting. If it looks unusually crisp, shiny, and flawless, it could be a high-grade, uncirculated coin. These are much more valuable than ones that have been in pockets and purses for decades. Second, look at the details of the design. Pay close attention to Washington's hair, the lettering, and the eagle's feathers on the reverse. If anything looks doubled or blurry, it might be a doubling error. Third, check the edges and the weight. A normal quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If it feels lighter or heavier than usual, it might be an error, coin struck on the wrong planchet. And finally, consider sending it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC if you think you might have something special. For a small fee, they can tell you the grade and authenticity, which is essential if you want to sell or insure the coin. Even if you don't find $1 million quarter, you could still stumble upon a coin worth a few hundred or even a few $1,000s. That's why coin collecting is so fascinating. It turns everyday objects into treasure hunts. Let's also talk quickly about the value ranges. A regular 1996 D quarter that's been circulated is usually worth just face value, which is 25 cents. 1996 D in mint state 65 can be worth around $10 to $25 depending on market conditions. A mint state 67 example can fetch anywhere from $150 to $300, and if you happen to have one of those rare mint state 68 examples with a documented error, then you're looking at thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in the rarest case, like the one we mentioned earlier, it can go beyond the $1 million mark. So the next time you get change back at the store or find a pile of quarters in your drawer, take a second to check them. You never know. That little coin could be your lottery ticket, and that's the incredible story of the 1996 D Washington quarter. From common pocket change to a record-breaking auction star, it shows that even the smallest things can have the biggest surprises. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more amazing coin stories and collecting tips. Let us know in the comments if you found any rare coins or if you have a 1996 D quarter that might be valuable. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. If you want, I can also create an extended version with a slower pace or a version tailored for shorts or TikTok style storytelling. Let me know. Welcome back to the channel and get ready for one of the most unbelievable coin stories you're ever going to hear. Rarest coins. Today we're talking about a coin you've probably seen 100 times before, the 1989 D Washington quarter. It's a coin that most people overlook, a coin that gets tossed in tip jars, glove compartments, and laundromat machines every day. But what if I told you that one specific version of this quarter has been valued at an incredible $1.2 million? That's Write a simple 25-cent piece turning into a seven-figure treasure. In today's video, we're going to uncover the full story behind the 1989 D. Washington quarter. We'll explore the history of the coin, what makes certain versions of it valuable, and how a rare minting error combined with flawless condition made one of these quarters one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. So, let's get started with a little background. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin features a profile of Washington on the front and for decades an eagle on the reverse. It's been one of the most circulated and collected coins in American history. By 1989, the Washington quarter had been in production for over 50 years. That year, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters to meet public demand. The 1989 D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, and you can identify it by the small letter D located just to the right of Washington's ponytail under the motto "In God We Trust." In total, over 897 million 1989 D quarters were minted, so they are far from rare. In everyday terms, you can find them in your change to this day, and most of them are worth just 25 cents. But as always with coins, the devil is in the details. Out of nearly 900 million coins, only a few were struck under unusual conditions, and one of those coins became famous for all the right reasons: a 1989 D quarter that would shock the numismatic world with its unexpected value of $1.2 million. So, how does a quarter reach that kind of value? What makes a coin that common turn into something so rare and so expensive? Let's break it down into three key reasons. First is condition. This coin was found in absolutely perfect condition. It was graded by a top-tier grading service as Mint State 68, which is nearly unheard of for a coin from that year. Most quarters from 1989 have been circulated heavily, meaning they've been scratched, worn, and tossed around in pockets and cash registers for decades. But this particular coin was flawless, razor-sharp details, full mint luster, and zero signs of wear. A coin like this is in the top fraction of the top 1%, and that alone makes it incredibly valuable to serious collectors. Second is the error. This 1989 D quarter had a minting mistake that turned it into a numismatic legend. It was struck on a planchet meant for a commemorative gold coin. That's right, it wasn't supposed to be a regular quarter at all. It was struck on a blank used for a different coin entirely, giving it a different metal content and an unusual color and weight. Experts believe it was the result of a mix-up at the Denver Mint, where coin blanks from different production runs ended up in the wrong presses. The error went unnoticed, and the coin was struck and released into circulation. But what made this coin so exceptional wasn't just the error. It was the fact that the error coin had survived untouched for decades and was eventually discovered in perfect condition. Third is demand. Rare coins with unique errors and perfect condition don't just attract casual interest, they spark bidding wars. And that's exactly what happened when this 1989 D quarter appeared in a private auction. The combination of a known mint error, historical significance, and a grade of Mint State 68 made it a once-in-a-lifetime find, and after a fierce round of bidding, the final sale price landed at $1.2 million. That moment changed how collectors looked at modern quarters, and it set a new standard for what these coins could be worth. Now, let's talk about what this means for you. You probably have quarters from the 1980s in your change right now, maybe even a few 1989 DS. So what should you be looking for if you want to find a hidden treasure? First, examine the coin closely. Start with the condition. If it looks brand new, with a bright shine, no scratches, and full detail, it might be uncirculated. That alone could make it worth a few dollars. Next, look for minting errors. Check for things like off-center strikes, double die lettering, or an unusual planchet. Does the color look different? Does the weight seem heavier or lighter than usual? These are signs that something might be off, and that's a good thing when it comes to value. A standard 1989 D quarter in circulated condition is usually worth face value, but a mint state example with a high grade from a professional grading company can sell for $50 to $100. If the coin has a known error like a double strike off-center or wrong metal planchet, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the rarity and demand. And of course, if you find a quarter with all the right ingredients, a major mint error, pristine condition, and historical interest, then who knows, you might just have the next $1 million coin. If you think you have something valuable, don't clean it, don't Try to alter it in any way that could destroy the coin's surface and lower its value. Instead, place it in a soft holder or protective flip and consider sending it to a professional coin grading company like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate the coin, give it a grade, and issue a certificate, which is essential for serious collectors and potential buyers. Coin collecting is more than a hobby. It's part history, part treasure hunt, and part investment, and stories like the 1989 D quarter prove that you never know what hidden gems are still out there waiting to be discovered. So the next time you get a handful of change at the store, take a closer look. That plain old quarter might be something far more valuable than it appears. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, be sure to subscribe for more rare coin stories, collecting tips, and incredible discoveries. And let us know in the comments if you've ever found a 1989 D quarter or any other valuable coin. We'd love to hear your story. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and remember, some of the greatest treasures in life are hiding in plain sight. Let me know if you'd like a shorter version for YouTube Shorts, or if you want video scene suggestions and voiceover timing to go with this script. Welcome back to the channel, where today we're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting and uncovering the unbelievable story behind a coin most of us have held in our hands at some point: the 1980 Washington quarter with a P mint mark, a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but in one rare case ended up being worth a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. Yes, you heard that right, a simple 25-cent piece that was once used for parking meters or snack machines ended up selling for over $1 million. So what makes the 1980 P quarter so special, and what should you be looking for in your own pocket change? Let's dive into the history, the hidden value, and the rare errors that could make you rich. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932, originally designed to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over the years, it became one of the most iconic coins in American history, with Washington's profile on the front and a majestic eagle on the back. By 1980, the design was still largely the same, and the quarter was being produced at three main mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The 1980 P quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and the P mint mark appears just to the right of Washington's ponytail under the motto, "In God We Trust." Now, here's something interesting. Before 1980, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark on quarters. That means the 1980 P quarter was the very first year that the letter P was used on the Washington quarter, marking a major moment in numismatic history. That alone makes it worth a second look. But there's more. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 635 million quarters, so it's easy to assume that the coin is too common to be valuable. But in the world of coin collecting, it's not just about how many were made, it's about how many survived in perfect condition, and whether any unusual mint errors slipped through the cracks. And that brings us to the million-dollar story. One particular 1980 P quarter was found in nearly flawless condition with a dramatic and extremely rare mint error. This coin had been struck on a planchet mint for a Susan B. Anthony dollar. Instead of being minted on the standard copper nickel-clad planchet used for quarters, it was mistakenly struck on a dollar coin blank. This gave it a larger size, different color, and heavier weight. Not only was this an extremely rare error, but the coin was also preserved in pristine condition, graded mint state 67 by a professional grading service. That's an incredibly high grade for a coin that was never meant to be special or collected. Add the rarity of the mint error, the historical significance of being the first year of the P mint mark, and the perfect condition, and you have a recipe for a record-breaking auction sale. That coin ended up being sold in a private collector transaction for an unbelievable $1.4 million, and it instantly became one of the most famous Washington quarters in existence. Now, you might be thinking, what are the odds of finding something like that? But here's the good news. There are other valuable 1980 P quarters out there that may not be worth $1 million, but can still bring in serious cash. Let's talk about what to look for first. Check the condition. Coins in uncirculated or mint state condition are always more valuable. Look for coins with a shiny surface, no scratches, full details on Washington's face and hair, and a clean, sharp rim. These can sell for $20 to $50 in mint state 64 or higher. Next, look for known mint errors. Some valuable examples include double die obverse, where the date or lettering appears slightly doubled off center; strikes, where the design is shifted visibly to one side; broad strikes, where the coin was struck without the collar, giving it a larger flat edge; and coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. There are even reports of 1980 P quarters being struck on experimental planchets or Foreign coin blanks, due to mix-ups at the mint, these are incredibly rare, but if you find one, they can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. You'll also want to pay attention to the coin's weight. A standard 1980 P quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs more or less than that significantly, it could be a rare error and worth getting professionally graded. Now, let's go over the general value ranges for the 1980 P Washington quarter. A regular circulated 1980 P quarter is usually worth face value, which is 25 cents. An uncirculated example in mint state 63 to 65 can be worth between $10 and $30. In higher grades like mint state 66 or 67, the value jumps significantly. Some coins in MS 67 have sold for over $1,000 at auction, and of course the rarest example with the dollar planchet error and perfect condition went for an eye-popping $1.4 million. So what does all this mean for you? It means that the next time you're going through your change drawer, coin jar, or even a handful of quarters from the grocery store, take a close look at those 1980 coins, especially the ones with AP mint mark. You might just be holding a coin worth far more than 25 cents. Here's what you should do. If you think you found something valuable, handle the coin carefully. Try not to touch the surface, as oils from your skin can damage it. Store it in a soft cloth or coin flip to avoid scratches, and consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for evaluation. Do not attempt to clean the coin, as that can actually lower its value significantly. And finally, do some research online or reach out to a coin expert to confirm the coin's variety and error. If you suspect it's something special, coin collecting is not just a hobby, it's a treasure hunt, and stories like the 1980 P Washington quarter prove that there are still modern coins in circulation that can be worth life-changing amounts of money. So keep your eyes open, keep checking your change, and you might be the next person to uncover a hidden gem worth over $1 million. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more rare coin discoveries and collecting tips. Leave a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin, or if you have a 1980 P quarter you want help identifying. Until next time, happy coin hunting, and never underestimate the power of pocket change. Let me know if you'd like a shorter version for Reels or TikTok, or a list of visuals and B-roll you could include in the video. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're diving into one of the most overlooked yet fascinating coins in modern American history, the 1990 D Washington quarter. This is a coin that you've probably seen hundreds of times, maybe even spent at a vending machine or handed over for a morning coffee. But believe it or not, one version of this exact quarter is now known to be worth a staggering $1.1 million. Rarest coins. That's right, a 25-cent coin made in 1990 ended up selling for over $1 million. And today we're going to explore how that happened, what makes certain 1990 D quarters so valuable, and what you should be looking for in your own spare change. So let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932 in honor of George Washington's 200th birthday. It became one of the most recognized coins in the world, with the familiar portrait of Washington on the front, and for decades an eagle on the reverse. The design remained mostly unchanged until the early 2000s. Now fast forward to 1990, the United States Mint was producing Washington quarters at multiple locations, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The D on the 1990 D quarter means it was struck at the Denver Mint. That year, the Mint produced over 925 million quarters, which means the 1990 D is not a rare coin by sheer numbers. But as with so many things in numismatics, it's not about how many were made, it's about how few have survived in pristine condition, or how few were struck with certain types of rare and valuable mint errors. And in the case of the 1990 D Washington quarter, one of those coins became something truly extraordinary. Now, let's talk about the $1 million story among the hundreds of millions of quarters struck that year. 1990 D quarter shocked the coin collecting world when it was discovered with a combination of characteristics that made it a true one-of-a-kind. This coin wasn't just uncirculated, it was graded as mint state 68 by a professional grading company, and it featured a highly unusual minting error. This particular coin was accidentally struck on a planchet that was intended for a different denomination. Experts believe the quarter was struck on a blank mint for a $50 or another special mint program that was running at the time. This gave the coin a different weight and metallic composition from standard quarters, making it a highly valuable minting mistake. Now, errors like this are incredibly rare, and usually get caught during quality control, but this one slipped through the cracks and entered circulation. It wasn't until years later when a coin collector examined it more closely that the mistake was discovered. The coin was submitted for grading, and the combination of the rare, error, and near-perfect condition immediately caught the attention of top collectors. At a private auction, the coin ended up selling for an unbelievable $1.1 million and entered the record books as one of the most valuable modern quarters ever sold. So what does this mean for the average person? Could you have a valuable 1990 D quarter hiding in your pocket or change jar? The answer is maybe, but only if you know what to look for. Here are the things you want to watch for. First, condition matters. If your 1990 D quarter is heavily worn, scratched, or faded, then it's probably worth face value only. But if it looks brand new with no visible signs of wear, full details, and sharp edges, then you might have something more valuable. Uncirculated coins in mint state condition can already sell for several dollars or more. Second, look for minting errors. These are the big money makers. Errors like off-center strikes, double die, obverse clip planchets, or being struck on the wrong metal planchet can all make a coin far more valuable. If your 1990 D quarter has unusual color toning, odd edges, or looks larger or heavier than usual, that could be a clue that it was struck on the wrong blank, which is exactly what happened with the $1 million coin. You can also weigh the coin using a simple digital scale. A standard 1990 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is significantly heavier or lighter, that's a big red flag, and it's worth further inspection. Third, consider having it graded. If you find a 1990 D quarter that looks suspiciously perfect or has any odd features, it might be worth submitting to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin, grade its condition, and tell you if it has any rare features. Even if you don't have the $1.1 million version, there are still valuable examples out there. For example, a regular 1990 D quarter in mint state 65 can sell for $10 to $20. Higher grades like MS66 or MS67 can fetch $50 to a few $100s depending on the market. But as always, the real treasures are in the rare mint errors, and top grade coins combine both, and you've got a potential fortunite. Stories like these that make coin collecting so exciting, because what appears to be a normal piece of pocket change can sometimes turn out to be a one in a million discovery, literally. So the next time you're counting change at the gas station or digging through a drawer in your house, take a moment and look closely at that 1990 D quarter. You never know what you might find. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more incredible coin stories and collecting tips, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button and leave a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin, or if you have a 1990 D quarter you want help identifying. Thanks for watching, and remember, some of the greatest treasures in life are hiding in plain sight. You just have to know where to look. Until next time, happy coin hunting and good luck. Let me know if you'd like a version with visual cues or formatted for TikTok or YouTube Shorts.